Hi there, this is Elena Wiggins. I just wanted to give a flip through of my new unit study called The Beauty of Romania. I think it's primarily focused or targeted towards families like me who are Romanian. I was born in Romania, and my kids know a tiny bit of Romanian but don't really know too much of the history. So started this as a project for myself and then realized that it might be a blessing and benefit other families as well. So wanted to take you along for a little tour of it. I printed mine off. This is a digital download, and so meaning that you will have to print it off, and then I put mine in a binder so that it's all kind of, you can remove it, the pages depending on what you want to use, but I like to do that to kind of keep it sturdy. It will be, I believe, $15 as a download, but the first 2 weeks it will be on a sale for $10. So just to give you an idea of the cost. All right, so we start off with the table of contents that kind of lays out how it's all organized, and then we have an introduction that kind of goes more into just ins and outs of the program. And then I have a playlist that includes a lot of the YouTube videos that I mentioned in the study. So then I have an example of how you can schedule the unit study. Again, you can do it however you want to. You can decide that, I just want to do a little bit of it. I only have weekends available. Great. Or, I have the summer available and then our school year is really busy. Great. Then, my sample is if you have 45 minutes a day to like 3 days a week, 45 minutes per day, that you can get through a lot of these different things. But again, if you don't have that available, just do what you can and you're still getting a lot out of it. It is a family style study, meaning that you are learning alongside your child, whatever your child's age is. I think it can work for kids like preschool age all the way to high school. You can kind of adapt it to work for your family. So we jump right in with the Romanian flag, and we have a link that takes you to the Romanian anthem. We're not learning the anthem, but you're listening to it and noticing the colors. Then we do a little bit of geography, depending on the age, pre-kinder or preschool and kinder, do a lot of it with the parents, and then older kids do a lot more on their own. So you have this map, and you use like this blank map, and kind of find and label Bucharest, you find and label the surrounding countries and so on, just to familiarize kids with the geography of Romania. And then these are just different examples of the topography of Romania. So we have rivers like the Danube River, we have mountains, we have beaches. Just I'm saying we, but Romania has all these different beautiful areas to explore and different examples of topography. And then the fun geography project is to create a dream road trip, and so all expenses paid. Wouldn't that be nice? So there's some examples there, and then so you would explore with your child, like what would you want to see? Would you have family that you want to visit there? If you are Romanian, you have family there. And then you put it here. And this study is all written in Romanian. It's all written in English, and there is a lot of Romanian in there, like in the songs and the hymns, but you don't have to speak fluent Romanian to get a lot out of it. I think you can get plenty, even if your Romanian isn't great or isn't fluent. So then we have traditional costumes. You can color the coloring page. And for the coloring pages, because we do have a lot of coloring pages, I would recommend making copies of those specific pages if you have multiple kids. And so that way all the kids have their own coloring page. So some examples of traditional costumes. And then we jump into the artist study. So an artist study is basically focusing on one artist, who is Nicolae Grigorescu. You learn a little bit about him, and you can decide to either read that or read it to the child, or you read it beforehand and just summarize it for your child, and then they're coloring while you're reading or summarizing. And then you go through 8 different paintings of his. You don't have to do all 8 of them. I just have 8 because I couldn't stop myself. They're all so beautiful. So I start with, so I have the painting that you're looking at, and then I have a few questions. These are not like quiz questions. These are just like, what's your favorite thing about the painting, or what colors do you see, or point to the shadows. And then you have typically 1 or 2 activities, and so those help the child just pay more attention. So usually there's either a hide, describe, or other kind of game to play to help them be aware or just kind of pay attention to different parts of the painting. And then usually one of the activities is painting or coloring, drawing some replica of the painting. And I do recommend having one session or one lesson per painting, like not trying to squeeze too many, because I feel like that would just take a really long time. So here's another painting. Again, you just kind of have your questions and then your activity. You don't have to do all 8 of them. Again, these are just all really cool and beautiful. So you can pick your favorites if you don't have that much time, or you can just do a few now and then save the rest for a different time. Then we have a composer study, and composer study, again, you're focusing on one composer, and that's George Enescu, who was a famous composer in Romania, and then we're looking at 3 different songs of his. The first 2 are actually, like, there's our coloring page. And actually, let me back up. I do have a page that goes through a little bit of Romanian folk music and how it inspired George Enescu's music. Even though he did a lot of classical music, you get a lot of hints of the Romanian folk music within his classical music. So I talk a little bit about that. And then with the music study, you click on the QR link, and then you kind of read this little blurb before that just tells you that a little bit about the song. And I broke it up into sections, so you're going to be listening to 4 minutes at a time. This is, like, I think a 10 or 11 minute song, so you're listening to little clips at a time, and then you're pausing it and asking some of these questions. And I try to have questions that are easy for young kids, but you can also deep dive with older kids as well. And I also try to have, like, some fun activities in there to get their bodies moving as they're learning really simple concepts of music, like dynamics, like how loud something is, or tempo, how fast or slow it is. So those are the 3 songs. Then we have 3 children's poems that are in Romanian, and they're translated into English, and have a few little questions about them as well. They're all pretty simple. If your Romanian is simple, is limited, and they're all about things that kids experience during childhood. So spring day, here's the coloring page that goes with that one, rainy day, and a sleepy night, sleepy birds, which is a really sweet poem. Then we go into nursery songs, and so I picked 3 nursery songs for kids to learn together with you, and I have the original Romanian and then have an English translation as well. Again, you have your QR link to listen to the song, and then for this section you have these storyboard pages that I recommend printing on, like, a thicker kind of cardstock, or laminating, or using, like, packing tape, like clear tape, on both sides once you have colored them and cut them out. And they're used for taking a little piece and acting it out while you're singing the song. So this one is In Pădure cu o lună. You have 2 little dwarfs, you have a bird, a frog, and a mouse. And so as you're singing it together with your child, they'll be acting it out. And so again, I would say, if you can, have one for each child, or you can just take turns, like each child has a different piece. That works as well. And then Melk Belk, same thing. And Walk Walk Dee 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 Dum is the 3rd one. So all really precious. And then this reminds me, because I printed it double-sided. I do recommend printing, especially for the nursery song specifically, one-sided, because then you get this problem of you're going to be cutting out all these pieces, and so you don't want to be cutting into the song. So for those pages, at least, I would recommend printing one-sided so that you have the storyboard pages to cut out. Then we have our Romanian Bible verses. I chose 3 Bible verses to learn 2 songs, and that's how our family learns a lot of verses, is to English songs. And so I found, with the help of a friend, I found some really great Bible songs. They're Bible verses put to songs by a Romanian family. And so I have 3 songs that I chose, and then there's a link. You listen to the link, you color the page, and you just kind of learn it throughout like 2-3 weeks. Then you move on to the next verse, and you listen to that song as well, and listen it and learn it together. Then you have a hymn. This is more like a worship song / hymn, Doamne cât de mare ești by Utu Shutel. And so we have the original Romanian, and then translated as well. And then you have 2 versions that you can listen to, his original version as well as a more recent version by the Belka family. and then again a coloring page, and then lastly there's a Romanian Christian hero section. So for this section it's all linked, meaning that I love the Torchlighters videos of different Christian heroes. We've used them a lot in our family, and there's one on Richard Wurmbrand, who he and his wife are in prison for being Christian, for not giving up their faith. So you would click on the Torchlighters animated video, listen to that, follow that up with, and it's like a 35-minute animated video. Then you would open up the student guide. They have like a really great guide, and you would just do the coloring pages or different activities. And then these videos here are more towards like adults or high schoolers. And then lastly, we have some books, we have some websites, and then TalkBox Mom is TalkBox Mom is a company that I use for learning Romanian. So that is the flip through. If you do have any questions, definitely message me and I can explain it a little bit better.